Rude waiter insults woman, unaware she's Keanu Reeves' mother. It was a crisp Saturday evening, and the restaurant on Fifth Avenue was bustling. Fairy lights adorned the ceiling, casting a warm glow over the marble tables and plush leather seats. This wasn't just any restaurant. It was one of the trendiest spots in the city, a place where influencers dined and where reservation lists were longer than a Hollywood blockbuster's credits. People came here to see and be seen. In the corner, a woman entered quietly, her presence barely noticed by the crowd. She wasn't dressed in designer brands or dripping with expensive jewelry like many of the other diners. Her outfit was simple, a soft knit sweater and tailored slacks, paired with practical shoes. She carried herself with an air of understated elegance, though her face bore a weariness that suggested she had seen a lot in her life. Her name was Patricia. The hostess, a young woman with a perfectly polished smile, greeted Patricia with a glance that barely hid her judgment. "Do you have a reservation?" she asked, her tone polite but clipped. "I don't," Patricia replied, her voice soft but firm. "I was hoping you might have a table for one." The hostess's smile tightened. "I'm afraid we're very busy tonight. You'll have to wait. Maybe the bar." She gestured vaguely toward the crowded area at the back. Patricia nodded, undeterred, and made her way there. The bar was packed, with people laughing, clinking glasses, and chatting over the hum of background music. Patricia found a small spot at the counter and sat down, quietly observing her surroundings. She had always loved people watching, and there was plenty to see here. It wasn't long before a waiter approached her. His name tag read Derek, and he looked every bit the part of someone who worked at an upscale restaurant. Sharp suit, slicked back hair, and an air of superiority. But the moment he spoke, his true nature began to show. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone bordering on impatience. "Yes, please. Could I see a menu?" Patricia asked politely. Derek raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "We don't usually serve people at the bar who are dining alone," he said, his words dripping with condescension. "It's not really our thing." Patricia's eyes flickered with surprise, but she remained calm. "I see. Well, I'm happy to wait if you'd prefer I find a table." Derek smirked. "It's not about waiting. It's about the kind of clientele we cater to." His eyes swept over her modest attire. "You understand, right?" For a moment, Patricia said nothing. Then she smiled, a small, knowing smile. "I understand perfectly," she said. The interaction might have ended there if it weren't for the fact that Derek continued to hover nearby, making little comments under his breath. "Some people don't know how to dress for a place like this," he muttered to another waiter, loud enough for Patricia to hear. Patricia's hands tightened around her purse, but she still said nothing. She had learned long ago that people who spoke like Derek often didn't listen to anyone but themselves. Instead, she observed him, noticing the way he carried himself, the way he seemed to delight in putting others down. Just as Patricia was about to leave, a voice cut through the air. "Excuse me, is there a problem here?" The room seemed to quiet, if only for a moment. Standing in the doorway was a man who looked vaguely familiar to everyone, though it took a few seconds for recognition to dawn. Tall, with dark hair and a casual but confident presence, he was none other than Keanu Reeves. Derek's demeanor changed instantly. "Mr. Reeves, welcome. Please, let me show you to a table," he said, all traces of his earlier arrogance replaced with obsequiousness. But Keanu didn't move. His eyes were fixed on Patricia. He walked over to her, his expression softening. "Mom," he said warmly. "I'm sorry I'm late." The color drained from Derek's face. "Your mom," he stammered. Keanu turned to him, his friendly demeanor replaced with a steely gaze. "Yes, my mom. Is there a problem?" Derek opened his mouth to respond, but quickly realized there was no good answer. "No, sir. No problem at all," he mumbled, his arrogance crumbling under the weight of the situation. Patricia looked up at her son, her eyes sparkling with gratitude and amusement. "You didn't have to do that, Keanu," she said softly. Keanu smiled. "Yes, I did. Let's find a table." The two of them were promptly seated at the best table in the house, where they spent the evening catching up. Meanwhile, Derek's behavior did not go unnoticed by the restaurant's management. By the end of the night, he found himself being pulled aside for a stern conversation about professionalism and respect. As for Patricia and Keanu, they left the restaurant hand in hand, their bond stronger than ever. And though Patricia had been insulted, she knew that sometimes, life had a way of reminding people of what truly mattered: kindness, humility, and the love of family. And Derek? Well, let's just say he learned an important lesson that evening about judging a book by its cover. The news about the incident with Derek and Patricia spread like wildfire. A few diners had discreetly recorded parts of the scene, and by the next morning, videos were circulating on social media. Headlines popped up everywhere. Waiter insults woman, only to discover she's Keanu Reeves' mother. The restaurant's reputation was under fire, with people criticizing how their staff treated customers based on appearances. For Patricia, life returned to normal. She wasn't one to dwell on unpleasant experiences, and she certainly didn't expect all the attention. She had always taught her son to approach life with kindness and humility, values she held close. However, this situation wasn't over just yet. A few days later, Keanu called his mom. "Hi, Mom. How are you doing?" His voice was warm, as always, but there was a hint of something else: concern. "I'm fine, Keanu," Patricia replied with a chuckle. "You don't have to keep checking on me." "Well, you're famous now," he said, teasingly. "The internet can't stop talking about you." Patricia sighed. "I don't want any of that attention. You know me. I prefer a quiet life." "I know," Keanu said gently. "But this might be a chance to turn something bad into something good. What if we could do something meaningful with all this attention?" Patricia was quiet for a moment. "What do you have in mind?" Keanu explained his idea. The restaurant had reached out, apologizing profusely and offering to make things right. They wanted to invite Patricia back for a complimentary meal and issue a public apology. Keanu, however, had a better idea. He suggested that instead of focusing on the apology, the restaurant could organize a charity event, donating the proceeds to causes Patricia cared about. It would be a way to use the spotlight for good. Patricia agreed. "If it can help others, I'm all for it," she said. The following week, the restaurant hosted a special dinner event. The owners invited Patricia as the guest of honor, and Keanu joined her, much to the excitement of everyone attending. The event wasn't just about repairing their image. It was a heartfelt effort to make amends and support a cause close to Patricia's heart: supporting children in need. The atmosphere at the restaurant was completely different this time. Warm smiles greeted every guest, and a sense of community filled the air. Patricia, though initially hesitant, found herself enjoying the evening. She spoke to guests, shared her thoughts about kindness and humility, and even told a few stories about her son's childhood, much to everyone's delight. When it came time for speeches, Patricia stood up, her voice steady and calm. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," she began. "What happened to me the other evening could have been just another unpleasant memory. But instead, it's become an opportunity to bring people together and do something good." She paused, her eyes scanning the room. "We all have moments where we judge others too quickly, or forget that everyone has a story, a life, and value. It's not about the clothes they wear or the way they look. Kindness costs nothing but can mean everything." The room erupted in applause, and Keanu, sitting beside her, couldn't hide his pride. Derek, the waiter from that fateful evening, was also present. He had asked to attend, wanting to apologize in person. After the speeches, he approached Patricia, his expression filled with genuine remorse. "Ma'am," he began, his voice shaking slightly. "I want to say how sorry I am for the way I treated you. There's no excuse for my behavior. I've been thinking about it every day, and I know I need to be better." Patricia looked at him for a long moment before speaking. "Derek, I appreciate your apology," she said kindly. "What matters most is that you've learned from this. Treat everyone with respect, always. That's what truly makes a person great." Derek nodded, visibly moved. "Thank you. I'll never forget this." The charity event was a resounding success, raising a significant amount of money for children in need. The restaurant owners pledged to maintain a more inclusive and respectful environment for all their guests, regardless of status or appearance. They even partnered with a local organization to provide meals for the homeless once a month. As for Patricia, she returned to her quiet life, grateful for the opportunity to turn a negative experience into something meaningful. Keanu, too, continued his work and life as he always had, quietly kind, unassuming, and deeply respectful of the values his mother had instilled in him. The story served as a reminder to everyone who heard it: never judge a book by its cover, and always choose kindness. In a world where appearances often dominate first impressions, Patricia and Keanu's story proved that true worth comes from within. And for Derek, he became a changed man. The incident humbled him, teaching him the value of respect and empathy. Over time, he even became a favorite among the restaurant's regulars, known for his warm and welcoming attitude. Sometimes, life has a funny way of teaching lessons. And in this case, it taught everyone involved the true meaning of humility, kindness, and the power of second chances.